All right, good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining us for our second round of staff and faculty financial wellness workshops. I'm very pleased to introduce CJ Julef, who is working with us and will be facilitating the workshops. CJ works with the California Community College Chancellor's Office and has over 20 years of experience in personal financial education. And I don't want to waste any time today because we will have a bit of a shorter session for those that are tuning in with us live, and then those that are watching the recording. This is the first of 5 sessions, and today's topic is the psychology of money, and I'll go ahead and pass it on to CJ.
Great. Thanks, Maria. Appreciate Ashley and Jaime being here. We're excited to be part of this initiative. One of the things that I want to share with you is that, as Maria said, I have a vast experience in this area of personal financial wellness. And I've been a banker. I've been the executive director of the Colorado Jumpstart Coalition. You have one in California. I've worked with the National Endowment for Financial Education on curriculum. Some of the cash course has my brand on it. Also worked at the Young American Center for Financial Education, which houses the only bank in the world for people 21 and under. And as well as the community college system in Colorado and the Colorado Department of Ed. And now I'm with you, which is very exciting. This is an initiative that we have started with the Chancellor's Office, and you are only one of 5 of 6 schools now. So consider yourself part of the in crowd, but we're extremely excited to be able to provide you this workshop on 2 levels. The first level is for your own personal financial wellness, so that you can get comfortable in your own financial skin, as it were. And as important, for you to be able to work with peers, family and friends, and students who might benefit from this same kind of information. I want to give you my disclaimer in that we're not here to turn you into millionaires. If you do that, more power to you. I'd like a little commission, but not much. But more importantly, what we're here to do is to have a conversation which many people never have, which is it's about money. So there's a lot of taboo around, ooh, don't talk about money, and I don't think you should ask how much this was. I'm not sure about you, but I would ask you to reflect, what kind of conversations did you have around the kitchen table or the dining room table in your family? Were they positive? Were they healthy? Or were they things like, oh, CJ, we don't have money for that. Why are you asking for that? No, I know you're going back to school, but you can't have what everybody else has. Who is everybody? I mean, all those conversations that didn't really prepare me to be a good money manager. And I had some great conversations with my parents, but I had some not so great. So this workshop that we'll be doing, yes, always an argument. Absolutely. Thanks for that. And thank you, Ashley, for using the chat. Feel free to chat questions or comments. Feel free to also unmute if you've got something that you want to add to the mix. But I want you to recognize that because it has a twofold purpose here, one, for you to be comfortable in your own financial skin, and second, for you to be as a resource for students. There are times when I'll do what I call an out-of-body experience, where I might say, hey, this is how I would use this if I were working with a family member or a student. So recognize that there may be that sort of clunkiness where you're thinking, what? It's because we've got 2 purposes here. So let's get started. I do want to give you my disclaimer. I'm time zone challenged. So I'm in Denver, and I happily made a mistake of double booking. So this week only, you get out right at 2 o'clock or 1 o'clock your time. So after that, we'll be here together for a whole 90 minutes, but I appreciate you working with me on this. Let's go ahead and pull up this screen. So I do need to have you open the screen up for me, Maria. Give me that ability.
Apologies, it should be good to go.
Okay, perfect. So it's about the psychology of money today. And what are we thinking about? Well, here's our learning objectives. And that is that we want to be able to explain the link between self-worth and personal finances. We do want to recognize the relationship between stress and personal finances. And then we're going to get into that sort of another taboo topic about love, marriage, and money and how they interact. How are we going to do that? Well, we're going to do that by checking out what financial wellness means. We're going to look at what's your money attitude, money mindsets, money scripts, what stress got to do with it, and money in relationships. So let me ask you this, and I'm going to have you sit on this for just a second, but let me ask you this. What do you think when we say financial wellness, what do we say? How does that differ from wellness as a whole? Well, let me share with you what the National Wellness Institute says about wellness. Wellness is an active process through which people become aware of and make choices toward a more successful existence. So then the question is, what exactly is personal financial wellness? Well, I hope that you'll join me. You can use your computer or you have a phone handy and go to www.menti.com and then put in the secret decoder ring 2491 5701. And I think Maria has put that in the chat box as well. I'm going to pull up that screen so we can see what we're talking about here. So what words come to mind when you hear the term personal financial wellness? So this is just a little bit of a brain drain for you to think about that piece. Organized. Okay. Other ideas? Net worth, money in the bank. Wealth, freedom, peace. Absolutely. Thank you for sharing. We'll go ahead and stop that and look at what the experts say personal financial wellness is all about. So there are 4 components to personal financial wellness. I can only get things to stop talking to me and we can move forward. Let's see here. Oops. Sorry. I'm having that sort of crazy day. Let me stop sharing and get back to where I need to be. It's been a technological activity today that I thought, wow, really? How much more can we do of this? Pardon the standby, please. Maybe we'll get where we need to be. All right. Appreciate your patience. So when we look at personal financial wellness, what we understand is that the first thing that people think about is your objective economic status. The second is your subjective perception of your economic status, your financial behaviors, and your satisfaction with your financial situation. So many of the words that you shared dovetail right into these 4 elements. So if you're feeling a little unwell financially, research shows that 30 million American workers, 1 in 4, report they are seriously distressed and dissatisfied with their financial matters. And this spans all income levels. Now, I want to share with you that that's pre-COVID, because here's additional information. And this was right last October. So this survey was from the National Endowment for Financial Education. And it found that nearly 9 in 10, or 88% of Americans, say the COVID crisis is causing stress on their personal finances. More than half, 54%, say they're worried about not having enough saved, while almost half, 48%, are worried about their ability to pay bills. We know that unemployment for many people through the COVID ends September 4th. So concern is real. The NEFI survey found that 28% say they're stressed over their job security. And again, this was last October. 3/4 of Americans are taking steps to adjust their finances due to the outbreak. 2 in 5 note they've cut expenses. 26% are putting off major financial decisions. And 22% have increased contributions to their savings, which is great. But we're still concerned. We're not sure. The uncertainty is fairly significant. Well, if you're feeling a bit under the weather, you're not alone. Because here's a shocking statement. Regardless of job title, education level, or affluence, nearly everyone is concerned with the following. So the first piece is the sufficiency of their money. You might be asking yourself, do I have enough? And sometimes that's, do I have enough for this month? Do I have enough for the holidays? Do I have enough for so many questions? The sustainability of their resources. How long will my money last? So I might be a freshman in college and I'm thinking, wow, is this going to get me through the whole year? What if it only gets me through my semester? I might be retirement age and I might be thinking, gosh, do I need to keep working or do I have enough? So you can see again, across age, across ethnicity, across education level, and then the appropriateness of our financial decisions. Wow. Should I have bought that car right before the pandemic? I haven't been driving it. I don't know. So we're all in this together, which then gets us to, why are you participating in this webinar? Well, here's the part that we consider that you might play with your students, your peers. Many young people transition to adulthood without basic financial knowledge or skills. Many states do not require schools to teach personal finance. And I will tell you that in Colorado, although we have an unfunded, that's the operative word, unfunded mandate to teach personal finance in every grade from preschool till 12th, I can assure you that probably when we needed it the most during COVID, it probably was the first thing that went out the door. Many parents are unsure about when and how to talk to children about money. When I worked at Young Americans Bank, I would have people say, well, when's the right time? And I would sort of chuckle and say, 5 years old. And they go, oh, no. I mean, don't you think I could wait till high school? And I said, do you take your 5-year-old shopping? Well, sure. We all go out places together. And I said, your 5-year-old is a consumer and is paying attention and probably could use some information about the best use of their money. But I know that for many, many people, oh, no, let's wait until high school. Even let's wait until college. Could be too late. American consumers often learn about managing finances by making mistakes. That's what we want to avoid. So what part do you play? We hope that you'll share this information. We hope you'll start the conversation. So, interestingly enough, the psychology of money is actually about behavioral economics. So some of you may be economic students. Maybe you took a class in economics. And behavioral economics is about understanding how real people behave in real situations. Now, I love conventional economics, but it assumes that people are calculating, omniscient, self-interested, and focused on maximizing their wealth or income. Well, I don't know. Because what behavioral economics says instead is it's important that we be able to not only describe, but explain how people make choices. It's also important for us to get a handle on how most people will behave and how they will make particular decisions given particular circumstances. So when I look at the world, I'm pretty sure that almost no one maximizes, carefully calculates cost versus benefit, operates with perfect information, or clearly forecasts into the future the implications of current decisions, especially with any degree of certainty. Now, if I'm wrong, chat me up and tell me you've got that crystal ball, because I've been looking for it for years. Instead, Behavioral economics would suggest that people engage in what they refer to as satisficing. That would be SATISFICING. So take the word satisfying and change that Y up for a C, which means that they do the best they can to get the best results they can, given the psychological, physiological, and environmental constraints they face. Emotions play an important role in people's decision making, and behavioral economics incorporates this important fact of life into its decision theory. On the other hand, emotions are assumed to be unimportant for decision making in the conventional economic model. But when you think about it, people don't make decisions in isolation from society, or at a more micro level, in isolation from family and friends. They don't behave as though they're operating in a hermetically sealed room. They're influenced by what their friends and family think, and by what those outside of their group do. Think of social media. We really can follow the Kardashians. I think we've been doing it for 20 years. So we can follow anybody. We can see what they're eating. We can see how they're dressing. We can see what their dog looks like. So we are influenced by all of that. We're also affected by social norms, by culture, by religion. Our decisions can be significantly influenced by those with whom we identify. Our level of happiness is impacted by our desire to fit in. And current decisions also are influenced by past decisions. So, what's your attitude toward money? Maria's going to put in the chat a form that we'd love to have you fill out, and I'm going to show it up on the screen as well. So if you don't have access to it off your computer, you can take a look at what we're talking about. And this is an absolute brain drain. No sense in analyzing it. So I'd like you to take a few minutes to complete each statement below. Go with your first thought. There are no right or wrong answers. So you're just going to fill in the blank. So money is, and so forth. So I'm going to give you a few moments to do that, and then would love to hear your input, your feedback. But again, don't struggle over this, just the first thing that comes to mind. As I said, no right or wrong answers. It's just they're your answers. And so that makes them right. As I say, we'll take a few moments for you to fill in the blank, as it were. If you're using the screen, I'm going to squinch this up so you can see the last of the questions. Give you 30 more seconds, and then we'll pull together and see what our attitude is like. right. So you can shout out or pop in the chat box, but what did you say for money is? Ah, thank you, Jaime. The topic no one wants to talk about. You got that right. Anybody else have a different reaction to money is? Because we're all different. A tool to get what I need and want. Thank you, Ashley. Absolutely. So let's see. If I had $100, I would. Oh, Sandra says freedom. You bet it is. So if I had $100, I would. And Jaime said I would save it. I'm not sure that I would. Sometimes I say, oh, maybe I'd save 50, but I'm pretty sure I'd spend 50. Buy plants. Very nice, Maria. Good idea. Go out to eat. Perfect. So how about I think people with lots of money need to teach me how to level up. I love that. And Jaime said, how do they have all that? Yeah, that is the question. You do want to know. I think people who don't have much money need to be taught how to level up. I often say, I think they probably struggle more than I do. Struggle, Maria. Okay. When I retire, I want to have. Jaime said, I want to have my house paid off. Yes, as do I. Enough money to not worry about it. Perfect. So when I have money, I save is a nice thing. I happen to usually treat myself to something. So feel powerful. Yeah. How about when I don't have money? Stress, worry. Exactly. And I'm frustrated, feel frustrated. Yeah. And when I need or want money, I hustle. Yeah. Look for ways to earn money. You bet. Always looking for that next gig. Well, thank you for sharing. It's important to know about your money attitude, and I will share with you that this is a great conversation starter, because when were you ever asked what your attitude was toward money? I never was, and I didn't know I had one. So this is a great conversation starter about how do you feel. And always with anything that we would talk with students or family or friends out, we're coming from a place of curiosity, not judgment. So I'm curious. I'm curious about your attitude. I'm not here to judge. So we don't all have the same attitude, of course. Interestingly enough, just as we've assessed our attitudes toward money, it can be a reflection of our money history. So think about it. Your money history directly affects your relationship with money. And everyone's history is different, even within the same family. Your money history is dependent upon your memories that you have regarding having money or not having money. Could be about, did you get an allowance? Maybe you had to work for chores and you didn't get an allowance. Maybe you did save. Maybe you had a savings account. Maybe you got gifts of money for birthdays and so forth. It also includes your family's financial circumstances and traditions around money and work. Your money history is shaped by money messages from your friends, from the community, and society in general. It is part of what shapes your beliefs about money and your relationships with money. So the fact that I have 3 older sisters, 2 of them are 18 months apart. We call them Irish twins. That's the terminology for that. And then I'm 10 years younger than my oldest sister. and my sister closest to me is 4 years. So my sister closest to me in age, when we talk about our memories, they are completely different from our two older sisters. And we are in the same household, in the same biological family, living in the same space. And yet, oh my gosh. And I'll tell you why. As the younger kids, we were home when our two sisters went off to college. And oh, Ashley, talk about arguments about money. Whoa, we listened to our parents rah, rah, rah at each other about who was spending what. We're hanging out thinking, oh, doesn't look like this doesn't sound good. And our two sisters think we're making stuff up. So it's fascinating to find out what other people in your family are about. So part of our money history could include a recurring soundbite. Some of us might refer to that soundbite as an adage, a motto, a mantra, a slogan, a phrase, or just a wise saying. For example, you've probably heard someone say, money doesn't grow on trees, which I always thought was so silly because, of course, if it did, I would have figured that out. So yeah, I do know. I got it. I can't find any of that money. Or you can't take it with you. So what's your money mindset? I'm going to ask you to think about how you feel about money. And we've got another worksheet for you. This is a little bit different. Let me pull mine up on the screen. And Maria has shared it in the chat box. But first piece of this is to actually take a look at some of the statements. It says your money mindset is a core belief or feeling about money. It's that recurring soundbite that plays over and over in your head. Sometimes you don't even consciously hear it. So think about those things, those voices in your head when it comes to money. We've provided you with 12 pretty common statements around money. You might have heard them. So the idea is to think about how similar to your beliefs is that statement. So for instance, if you truly believe money doesn't buy happiness, you might give that a 3. So take a moment to, again, just the first reaction you have to those. We're not adding any score up. We're just doing a self-reflection. And then there's a space at the bottom for you to just think about, what are your core beliefs and feelings about saving, spending, investment, and credit? And write your own money statement. It might be one of these that's already up here, but if not, take a moment to, and it just might be a few words together, or maybe you've got it pretty much playing around in your head. So I'm going to give you some time to do both of those things, a little more time than you had to do your money attitude, and then we'll pull together. And I know I'm putting you on the spot, but I would love for those of you that are willing to share with us, we're back doing our mentimeter.com. And again, we won't know who actually wrote it. So only if you confess. But we're back to what's your money mindset. So we're back at the same www.menti.com, 2491-5701, and would love for you to share with us what your mindset is. We are not here to make any judgment about it. Yep, I really don't like money, but it feels that it's impossible to avoid the modern day society. Invest your extra money. Thank you for those two. I've learned that I need to be more active in learning about money, and you need to invest to have money for the future. Excellent. We'll just put this up here for another minute in case anybody wants to add. Appreciate you sharing. All right, no pressure. We'll go ahead and move on. Thank you for those. I'm going to encourage you to really take some time out to talk to your family and friends about this. Let me share with you some other money mindsets that you may know these people. So we've got Warren Buffett. He is a philanthropist, a billionaire. Hathaway is his space. It's not easy to get rich quick. Warren Buffett is got millions of followers who follow him with as far as his investments. So here's a guy who is incredibly wealthy, but again, it's not easy to get rich, he says. Can't get rich quick. Coco Chanel was a fashionista. And so I love her quote because she says there are people who have money and people who are rich. David Bailey says, to get rich, you have to be making money while you're asleep. So that's that idea of compound interest. And then Ted Turner, of course, he would say, life is a game. Money is how we keep score. So whatever your mindset is, the great thing is to just know and be able to understand, because your attitude can be changed and your mindset can be changed a little bit. So keep in mind that this is, again, a conversation. I'm going to encourage you to have the conversation with your family about, what's your money mindset? Again, out of curiosity. The other thing I would suggest to you is, if you want to be bold, ask your friends or your family members if they've seen you behave the way you believe. Are you walking the talk? And the next thing is, in addition to your money mantra and mindset, are they helping you achieve your personal financial wellness? Because that's where we want to be. So if we need to change our attitude, we can do so. We need to change our mindset, we can do so. Can't change our history, but we can figure out how to make it work for us. So let's continue this idea about behavioral economics, because we're going to talk about money scripts. And there's an opportunity after today, we'll provide you with a handout that you can fill out and find out exactly what your money scripts is. But this is a term that was coined by financial psychologists, if you can imagine there are such people. These are two brothers, Brad and Ted Klontz, Klontz. So money scripts are about core beliefs about money that drive financial behaviors. According to these two individuals, money scripts are typically unconscious, developed in childhood, passed down from generation to generation within families and cultures, contextually bound, and only partial truths. So when money scripts are developed in response to an emotionally charged, dramatic or traumatic personal, family or cultural financial flashpoint, such as significant losses during the Great Depression or the financial recession of 2008 or the pandemic. Could be parental abandonment, could be loss of a job due to a pandemic, or maybe you need a financial bailout from a family member. Money scripts can become resistant to change, even when they're self-destructive. So the research that these two gentlemen have done have identified 4 categories of money scripts, 3 of which are associated with poor financial health and 1 which shows promise. So let's dig into each one. Our first one is money avoidance. So these individuals, they feel they don't deserve money. They feel money is bad. And they think rich people are greedy. So what happens to these individuals? Well, as a result of those beliefs, those money scripts in their head, they may sabotage their own financial success or give money away in an unconscious effort to have as little as possible. They also may work excessive hours in an effort to make more money. This particular script, unfortunately, is associated with poor health. And these individuals tend to have less money and a lower net worth. Well, let's see what the next script is about. Here's our money worshipers. They believe that more money will solve all their problems. They also tend to believe there will never be enough money, and money brings power and happiness. Well, as a result of this money script in their head, many money worshipers are more likely to have lower income, lower net worth, and be trapped in a cycle of revolving credit card debt. They're more likely to spend compulsively, hoard possessions, put work ahead of family, ignore or forget their financial situation, give money to others even though they can't afford it, and then become financially dependent on others. Well, our third money script that doesn't bode well happens to be money status. These individuals who have this script playing in their head equate self-worth to net worth. They put a premium on buying the newest and best things. Well, as a result, money status believers are likely to be compulsive spenders. They're likely to be dependent on others financially. They're likely to lie to their partners about their spending. And the research says this is predictive of pathological gambling. Well, all 3 of the money scripts that we just reviewed, unfortunately, are associated with poorer financial health, including lower net worth and lower income. Let's look at the 4th. And when we see that, we see money vigilance. So these individuals, there's a theme of frugality. They're usually very discreet about how much money they have or make. They don't talk about it a lot. They tend to be a little nervous about making sure money is saved in case of an emergency. So people who are vigilant, as a result, there's a tendency towards a higher income and higher net worth. There is a tendency to be anxious or secretive about their financial status with people outside of those closest, but they're less likely to lie to a romantic partner about their spending behaviors. There is a protective factor at play. Less likely to spend compulsively, gamble excessively, enable others financially, or ignore their finances. So according to Brad, and he brought in Sonia Britt, she has expertise in financial therapy and quantitative research methodologies in financial planning. So if you're looking for a new career, I think there might be one out there. But they suggest that an individual's profession can predict money script patterns and a vulnerability to disordered money behaviors. So one of their statements is that specifically when compared to financial advisors, Mental health professionals are more likely to be more money avoidant. Business professionals are more likely to be anxious and secretive around money. And that makes sense to me. It's not my space. I don't know a lot about money. I'm in the social work environment. So yeah, probably a differentiation there. Well, here's the good news. Once you identify your money script, it can be challenged and changed to interrupt destructive financial patterns and promote financial wellness. So while it may be a little bit of a, ooh, gosh, I don't really want to know what my money script is, the great thing is that once you find out, you can do something about it. So one of the things that we will share with you, it is actually not a writable, fillable document. It is just, unfortunately, a Word doc, because it's a reprint out of one of the psychological news letters. So take some time with this if you're interested. No harm, no foul. I'm going to suggest to you that it does take some thought process. And as importantly, really pay attention to how to score it. One of those weird things that you happily start scoring, and if you don't read the directions carefully, you're going to skew your results. So find a quiet place where you could actually take some time with this. And again, no shame in this game. The fact is, it's so great to find this out. And as with any assessment, you could say to yourself, oh, I think this is hogwash. Or you could say, wow, yeah, let me take a little look at that. I might need to pay attention to that. So let me stop. I've been sort of like throwing a fire hose at you with a whole lot of information around a topic that we don't talk about. Any questions or concerns or comments?
Hey, CJ, I was wondering, do you know, as far as the money scripts, are there people that can kind of have all four going on at once?
There tends to be, when you do the scoring, that you've really got sort of a dominant script.
And how has that changed?
It goes back to, again, really all of your upbringing, all of your childhood, all of the unconsciousness. So you change your script by recognizing that, and again, you might not have done the assessment, but you might see how things were done in your family, and you might say, I don't want to spend that much. I don't need the new car and the new house. I just want to be happy. Or you might say, I never want to think about where my next meal is coming, so I'm going to save. So a lot of our behavior is either in direct contrast to how we grew up, or it models it. And so that's where the money scripts come in, is because it's unconscious, according to these psychologists. And it's been based on how our environment was when we were growing up. And so we may be running the same script as our parents. And the fact is that we pull back and say, you know what? I'm thinking not. I'm thinking that I need to manage my money. But I think what's so exciting about this, Maria, is because we don't talk about this in our families, that at least this is a little insight. It's a little window into, okay, I got it. Now I understand my relationship with money, and I'm not liking it. I want to save, or I want to create a budget. But it does take discipline, and it does take you wanting to change, because as we know, we can't change anybody but ourselves.
Yeah.
So
Probably take some time as well. Yeah.
oh, absolutely. Yeah. And we say 21 times to create a new habit, which means that, you can say to yourself, man, I'm just not going to buy any more coffee at Starbucks. And that lasts about 2 days, because you walk right by a Starbucks and you're thinking, wow, I really want that pumpkin spice latte. Okay, well, then the choice is, what are you going to give up for it? And that's really what we're talking about, is throughout all of this conversation, is it's not about needs and wants. We're not going to do the old school business that says, CJ, listen, no one needs a cup of coffee. And I'm going to say, oh, I beg to differ. There have been times in my life where that cup of coffee was life-saving. So, but I've always had to make the choice. I've always had to say, Do I get the pumpkin spice latte with all that stuff on it that costs an outrageous amount of money? Well, guess what? That means I'm not going to go rent a movie. Okay, but make that choice. Ashley, yes. You need to unmute.
Sometimes the headphones are a culprit as well.
Yeah. Okay, need to fix your headphones. Do you want to chat your comment in the box? Nice. Very nice. I appreciate that. So Ashley says in 2017, I learned about net worth and it turned my life around. Yeah. And what I hope you also learned, Ashley, is that net worth and self-worth aren't connected. But understanding your net worth can certainly give you some financial freedom, some flexibility, which can make you feel better. But we want to make certain that when we're working with students that we take away this thought that your self-worth is connected to your net worth, because that's an unhealthy place to be, sort of. But I appreciate you sharing that. Well, let's talk a little bit about financial stress.
Oh, sorry,
I'm
CJ.
sorry, Marie.
Looks like Jaime has a hand raised.
Oh, cool.
Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
Jaime, did you want to chat with us or unmute yourself?
Sure. I know you mentioned at the beginning that we're not here to get millionaires, but I remember when my dad paid off the house, and that's why I put all that in the chat. Like I'm saving, because to me, that was the day that I saw him the most happy.
Absolutely.
And so now I bought a house here 2 years ago, but I have a 30-year loan, and it's like, wow, that's going to be paid off after I retire. So that's, to me, it's like, okay, I have this loan. My goal is to pay it off before I retire. So I was wondering, what's the best method? What can I do? And so saving is good, but it's not enough. That's what I realized.
Yeah. So one of the things that I would say, Jaime, is that there's a little trick that you can do with your home loan, and that is to make certain that you are your mortgage company will allow you to do 2 payments, take out half each pay period. What that does is it puts you a month ahead, because there are 26 pay periods if you do it every other week. So just think about it every other week. Instead of making 12 payments, you're making 13. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I suggest the safest way to keep your house and start getting it paid down is to make certain that you have an automatic payment that is half of your mortgage every 2 weeks. That's one of the tricks to use. Then the other trick to use is, again, to get to where you are financially stable and refinance for a lower term. You're not ready yet. You don't have enough equity, but it's very possible that in 10 years, you could take that 30-year mortgage and make it a 15-year mortgage. Okay. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So that's one of the ways to handle that piece. Thanks for asking. Keep those questions coming and write them down so we can address them during the sessions. Ashley, what were you going to say?
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
I fixed my mic.
Yeah.
So in 2017, I was adjunct faculty in Florida. I just moved here a couple months ago. And I brought in a banker to my class as a guest speaker when we talked about financial literacy, because I had no idea anything about the topic. And from that moment in 2017, I finally sat down and calculated my net worth. And if I sold everything that had value, and I I used that towards my debts, then I would only have $2,000 was my net worth at the time. And that was like a huge ego blow for me.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
from that point, I completely turned it around. And now I won't comment on what my net worth is now, but it has skyrocketed. And I did the same for my husband. I calculated his, and secretly I compete with him. So that's
Nice.
been a lot of fun for me.
Yeah, that's
and
great.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. Yeah, I think it's important to get, so I love that you're here today, because I do think, you'll hear me say this a couple times, but I had the chance to work with Bill Daniels, who was the philanthropist and billionaire who created Young Americans, but he was a rags to riches story. But his comment was, it's not about the power of money, it's about the power of knowledge. And so, that's really where we're coming from. So thank you for sharing that. And also, Jaime, thank you for sharing about, I bet that was the happiest you've seen your father, because there's something, what an accomplishment to pay off your house if you've chosen to purchase one. So it's giving people the knowledge, and then you got the knowledge about net worth. Look what you've done with it. Somebody else could take that and do something else. And that's the choice that we have. So I'm conscious that I have a short period of time to wrap up. So let me take you through a couple more things, and then we'll spend more time next time around. But talk about stress, and we're not going to actually do this Menti piece. What I want you to think about is just exactly what kind of stress do you have? And I'm going to take this off for just a minute and get my PowerPoint to show me what I want to talk to you guys about, because it has happily hidden it. So let's see here. I'm just going to read you these questions instead. So I want you to think about your own personal stress, and I want you to think about whether where these sort of are. So one of the questions is, on a typical night, I toss and turn worrying about bills and my paycheck coming up short. Another worry might be, I sometimes feel as though I'm living paycheck to paycheck. Another might be, I can't read that as well. Some months I must really prioritize which bills to pay on time. So these are common stressors that people have suggested. I think that many of us during the pandemic were surprised that sometimes the month kept going on and the money wasn't there. Or which bill do I pay? Those kinds of things. We bring this up simply because we know that students on campus have those same stresses. We have a lot of research backing up the fact that because so many community college students work, over 75% of as a sounding board, as the person who can say, I'm curious, let's talk that through. Is the $50 today more important than maybe a different higher income tomorrow? And those are questions that only they can answer, but you can be a sounding board for that. So let me wrap up with financial infidelity, one of my favorite topics, because actually the question is, have you committed it? And we're not going to ask you to come clean and share that with us, but it's possible, because what is financial infidelity? Well, it's acts of financial deception, hidden purchases, compulsive buying, not really telling the truth about what it is you actually paid for something. So financial infidelity can have devastating effects on relationships. A recent survey by CESI Solutions revealed that an alarming 80% of individuals admit hiding money from their partner. And we know that differing money histories, money mantras, and money scripts can wreak havoc with relationships. Money issues are often the root cause of a relationship going south. So we're going to talk more about stress and relationships through the course of our workshops. Today, we just wanted to put them on the table. So I want to do a quick recap. We've done a lot today. And one of the things that we want to talk about is how you view, yourself, your self-worth is directly linked to how you manage your money. Poor money management can cause significant stress, and your relationship with money affects your relationship with others. So we like to always wrap up with a personal financial wellness challenge for you to participate in over the week. We encourage you to start a conversation with a family member regarding your money mindset and your money history. Again, out of curiosity. Might be interesting to compare notes. And then we're not going to beat you up for this because I'll come transparent. I have committed financial infidelity. I get my hair cut. My husband could care less how much it costs, but I never quite can tell him the exact cost because it seems outrageous. Also, he cuts his own hair, and that makes it so I feel even more weird about it. But I know I should just say, hey, it costs this much because he could care less. But I can't seem to do it. I'm practicing. So next week, it's spending and financial planning. So appreciate your participation today. If you've got any comments that you want to share in the chat box, we'd love to know if we made this worthwhile for you. Again, I raced through my apologies for not knowing what time it is in California and what time it is in Denver, Colorado, but I will figure that out by next week. So we will meet next week at the appropriate time, and we'll spend 90 minutes together. So spending and financial planning. Bring your questions, and thanks so much for being here today. I appreciate it.
Thank you, CJ.
You bet. I'm going to hop off, Maria.
All right. Thank you, CJ. See you next week.
All righty.
I'll hang out here in case anyone wants to chat. Send me some questions. Otherwise, I hope you have a good rest of your Thursday. Have an awesome Labor Day weekend, and we'll see you next Thursday. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.